what's happening, party people? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing great, feeling sound, being safe, all of that good stuff out there. I'm in an abnormally good mood today because the sun is out in Ireland. It is like 24 degrees. The weather is unreal. I took the F80 out this morning, gave it a wash, went for just a little drive on my way to the supermarket, and I felt on fire. I was like, wow, there's some kind of summer. But who knows, we all don't know what's gonna happen with that. But anyway, the fact that I was able to go out and just feel for one tiny moment that there was some normality felt great. So today's video was a bit of a trip down memory lane, really. I was thinking about it. I read a few comments on my, not on my Instagram, on my YouTube about my car and, you know, did you buy this yourself and blah, 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 all of this sort of stuff. And I was like, lol. Actually, for people who've just joined the channel, I thought it'd be a good thing to actually go back in time a little bit, a trip down memory lane, as I said, to go through a bit of my car history. So we're gonna jump straight into it for my video today. And yeah, take you on my car memories? Car memories. I don't know, just like my car history. Okay, so starting with the first car that I bought where as soon as I started to drive, so I would have been 17, which was, oh God, officially 11 years ago. Did I say 17? Yeah, officially 11 years ago on June the 5th. I'm 28 next week, which is But yeah, so I bought a 2003 Mark IV Golf, Volkswagen Mark IV Golf, and it was a 1.4. These cars are not known to be the fastest of the platforms. So the 1.4 meant that it was dead as maggot, really. But it wasn't a point. At that time, I was 17 years old, just getting on the road, and it was a 3-door, first of all, and it was also in white. It had black rub strips, and I didn't care because I was like, okay, I'm gonna get that painted, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Like, I had been trawling the Performance VW magazine for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, do you remember the big wheel pages that they'd have, and you'd have all the different wheels, like, I don't know, Wolf Race, Arrow, like all of these wheel companies, and you're like, oh my God, I wish I could have that wheel, or this, that, and the other. And I just spent weeks like thinking about what I wanted to do to this car. So yeah, I got the Mark IV. That must have been in 2028 this year, so 2009. So I got that in 2009. Got my notes just here, just to remember. And I kind of tore into that quite quickly because I think the first thing that I did with it is I got some Tech coilovers. So they were like super cheap at the time. And I found a set of 19 by 8.5 all round BBS CHs. Now, CHs to me were like a classic motorsport wheel. And I knew what I wanted to do. I was like, right, I wanted to color code the car. It was kind of like a thing back then. Like at the shows, I saw it quite a lot and I really liked it. It was almost like a little bit 90s. So I got the rub strips painted, I got the coilovers on the car, and I went out and found these wheels, which as I said were BBS CH, and color coded them so everything was white. So white rub strips, white door handles, white wheels. I absolutely loved it. Like, I was just balling around, like rolling up to school in this thing, and I thought I was hot shit, as you do when you're that age and you think you're really cool. But actually a couple of weeks before I did that, I snapped the pretty much snapped the wheel off at a wishbone when I had a couple of my mates in the car and thought I was, you know, being really cool, and took a right hander, took a 90 degree to the right a little bit fast and slid her up the curb. So I kind of learnt my lesson really quick. Like, I think I crashed my car, crashed it, that's a strong word. I had a minor incident in the Mark IV approximately 3 weeks after I bought it. So that kind of, you know, got that out of my system. And then I kind of got into the road of, oh, I wanted it to be an anniversary spec, but again, couldn't afford the Angel Eye lights, couldn't afford any of the stuff. So found a few little spurious parts here and there, managed to get a genuine US spec anniversary rear bumper and front bumper, so I had that all painted up, and then kept smashing the splitter, and then couldn't afford to, you know, get the splitter back on the car, so I ended up buying a fiberglass one. Again, terrible idea, but you know what, you learn. Everybody learns as you go along this modifying road. You learn your lessons here and there. After that, I went for the Rotiform wheels. I was a little bit old by that point. It was about 2013, and for years and years, I wanted like a cooler set of wheels because I was going to shows and I was getting like, you know, when you used to get like the meet reports in the magazines and stuff, I'd always get like a little picture and I'd be like, oh my God, there's my car, and I always wanted to get a feature on my car. So I bought these wheels. I bought these 19 by 9, 19 by 10 VCE Rotiforms, 3-piece quad plated chrome. Oh my God, they slowed the car down. They were that heavy, and because I lowered it so much, it pushed the wheels to the front of the arch. Basically, I needed air, but I couldn't afford it. And yeah, I had those on the car, and they terrified me because they kind of ate my arches a little bit. Like, the car needed to camber in, like I had to put some camber shims in to try and get the wheels to pivot in at the top, so it wouldn't just completely destroy all my paintwork. At one point I was like, oh my god, my rear arch is rusting. But that was the first car that I ever had, and do you know what, there was lots of other little things that I did in it, with like the 300mm Momo steering wheel, so stupid little Mario Kart steering wheel in it, and the double din head unit, and I got rid of the cloth interior and got the leather interior in it. And it was my first car that I really cut my teeth into modifying. And you know, you do lots of different, you paint different things. I think I painted the wheels blue at some point. I had this little Chanel sticker on the petrol flap. I can never remember what it's called. But yeah, loved that. That was my first, and I had that for quite a lot of years. That's sort of 2009 to 2013, because I sold the car to go traveling, and I was like, look, if I want to go traveling, it's got to be one or the other. And I actually sold the car to a guy that I used to race with when I was much younger. So the car kind of just still lived on because I would see it in the pits around and about. So if I really got you know, upset about it, I'd be like, you know, Joe, can I just have a little quick sit in my car for a minute? But it was great to see the car go to a 17-year-old lad who was just like, oh my god, I love this thing. So that was great. Around the end of the time of owning the Mark IV Golf, I actually bought the 21. So I was 21 when I bought that car. It was the 10th of October 2013. Now the reason why that date's imprinted in my mind was because I couldn't believe that I'd found Red. So she was all the way down in Devon. I lived in Coventry, and I'd been searching around. My grandma had actually unfortunately died, and she left me a bit of money, and I was like, okay, so I've got like a couple of grand. Obviously the first thing that I wanted to do was go out and buy another project, and my dad just begged me not to do it. He was like, please put your money away and save it and all this stuff, and I was like, Dad, just trust me, because I could see in my mind's eye what I wanted to do with the E21. So I was looking around, and I saw this one come up on eBay, and it didn't make the reserve. So I rang what turned out to be the girl, and I was like, hey look, is it good, because I'll come down and get it now. And she was like, trust me, it's great. So I went all the way down to Devon with a trailer and took one look at the car and was like, oh my god, again, you know, when you just know, you look at a car and you're like, this is the car for me. And yeah, like, it had a couple of little bits on it that I really liked, just like from the minute I saw it. So it had the sort of real 90s heck blend on the back of it, so the piece of plastic on the back where it says BMW. Loved that, loved. And it also had the twin headlights. Now it was only the 316, so it was like the baby engine M10, which traditionally sort of came with the single headlights, and this one had the twins, which I thought looked really cool, which you got on I think like the 320s, 323s. Don't trust me on this, like I think that's correct. Everyone has their car story when they saw it and they fell in love, and I don't know, it's like adopting a puppy. Maybe. For Ultimate Dubs, I brought the car out and I scrimped and saved and managed to put air on the car, buy a set of BBS RS, which actually was sort of kicking around our friend group at the time. They'd been on a Mark I Golf, I think they'd been on a G60 Rally, like, and it was just sort of between friends, and they were like, look, right now child, we pass these down onto you. And I had them, I had polished lips, powder coated centers, gold hardware, red center caps. I swapped my center caps that I had before for some quarter height custom ones from America. And that was a thing back then, like everyone used to swap and change parts. Like if you had something that somebody wanted, then they would swap with you, which was really, really cool, because the sort of VW scene and sort of stunt scene was booming out in the States. So there was always people that were willing to do a swap for parts. And bizarrely, like everybody, just going back to the VW really quickly, like everybody from the States wanted European stuff and everyone from the European wanted state stuff, so there was always lots of back and forth there. That was the first show that I ever took it to, and there's this picture, and I absolutely, again, love it. I always say that I absolutely love it. But it was just, after the show, I couldn't believe the reception that the car had got, and it was all over Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, like, this thing is the tits. I genuinely loved it. And kind of from there, really, I just did little upgrades. So I put the Nardi steering wheel in it, and then the tailpipes and that sort of stuff. And it was around 2015, so the year after, that I thought, you know, I'm going to give the RS a bit of a break. And I decided to put a set of BM1s, Rotiform BM1s. I know you guys are probably seeing a theme here. I kind of always had a bit of a Rotiform wheel thing. Yeah, I put the BM1s, which were a custom wheel. Those 16x9, 16x8, two-piece welded custom wheels, because I saw the 17s and I was like, oh, I love the hardware around them. But because I was going for a 16, which is really the max you can fit in an E21 Arch, they had to be the 2-piece welded, but they had some mad offset on them. The 9s in the rear just sat so fat. They were like a soup bowl, the offset on them. Again, thankfully having the air, I could fit them, but for a lot of the time they didn't actually sit tucked, they sit flush. So again, my paintwork on my rear arches for a while, I was just always, every time I aired it out, I was like, oh God, you know, like, but it looked great. I had those wheels for a little bit, but they weren't really quite practical, because when I was, I did eventually get them to tuck, but I don't know, I just always loved the RS, like that's the daddy of a wheel for me. And then I started adding little bits here and there. I took out the twins and then put the singles in and put the louver on the back, and eventually I managed to get hold of a set of RS 2000 brown fishnet Recaros, had them retrimmed into the original Pergamon corduroy interior. Like, I went searching for this material absolutely everywhere and we managed to find some, and had that all retrimmed and matched in, and to match the rear bench, because that's still original. And yeah, I was just totally in love. I had the air reworked as well, had a boot build put in, a lovely little red tank, the same colour as the paintwork. And then I went for full polish on the RS as well. So each car that I've always had kind of goes through a couple of guises. You know, I'll sort of switch it, get bored, switch it up a little bit, change something, sell something, put some new wheels on, that sort of stuff. Like, you know, like I was talking about with the F80 in my last video, I like to get to work fairly quickly. I like to bring what I can see inside my mind to the forefront quite quickly, because otherwise I'm like, oh no, I'm getting bored of it. I always love looking at pictures of the E21 because there's just so many moments, you know. When I was younger, the main thing that I wanted to do was get my car into a magazine. That's all I cared about, you know. As I said, it started with the obsession with the Mark IV. And, you know, never really managed it with that car because I was just too young. Like, I just didn't have the money. Like, at that point we were, you know, you were competing on the show field with, oh God, Grounded. Do you remember, like, I think they're called Grounded Crew. Chris Peacock and his Mark V, I always remember that because everyone accused him of having chicken wire and filler for his arches because he had a real wide arch kit on his Mark V R32. And then also Janet Edwardson, who was kind of like my idol as I was growing up in the sort of modified scene, because she had this sick Mark IV Golf that I remember going to Ultimate Gloves and be like, if my car can be anywhere near as cool as yours, like, I'm living. And it was all Lamborghini, it was like a green Lamborghini colour with proper Lamborghini seats, Lamborghini brakes, Lamborghini wheels. Like, it was of its time. So like, any of you like that want to start giving shit in the comments, like, this was our life. We went to shows and we modified our cars and we had a great fucking time doing it. And when I look back now, I kind of enjoy the style of that time. Like, gosh, you should have seen some of the stickers that I ran on my Mark IV Golf. The E21 was the first car that I really managed to get my all-important, I don't know why it was so important to me, the magazine feature. So we had it in Fast Car, we had it in Performance BMW, and yeah, I only made it to, but a couple of other things as well. Like, I did a big video with a guy called Matt, I can't remember, is it Matt Clifford? A guy called Matt Clifford, and we did a video for Water Cool Society, which kind of at the time was like, I hadn't seen many sort of car videos. And yeah, that was really cool. I'm going to link it below because you have to see it. I'm so young in it, it cringes me out because I'm like walking around in my Louboutins and my Jordans. I was really big into my trainers and my heels, and I filled the car up with all my favourite trainers and favourite heels. And it's very much of its time. Take the piss all you want. It's a brilliant bit of archive footage for me. Like, it's my past. I love it. But yeah, like, that car just went on so many journeys, and it was really the car that got me sort of, I started to move on Instagram when that car got done. Like, people just loved it. I mean, as I did. And to this day, at 7 years later, that car does not get old for me. I'm still in love with it, which I think is a testament of time. If you really love something, especially a classic, like, it takes on a different guise in your life. It just becomes an old buddy. I actually want to give that car to my daughter one day if I have a daughter, or even maybe a son, but definitely my daughter. I want to keep red for her, because as soon as she's 17 years old, she'll be balling out round town in that, although by that point, Jesus, the car will be nearly 60 years old. Is that bad maths? 60. If I have a child in the next 5 years, oh God. Anyway, we're not talking about me having children in the next 5 years. Right, let's moving on. So I then picked up a Bath, a 595 Competizione, I can never say that word. Yeah, the Abarth, which was a wicked little thing. 1.44 cylinder turbo. Originally they're about 180 something brake horsepower out of the box, but then Ford actually used that car as a prototype for all of their induction stuff, so it was fully forged out to its tits. Like, it had the front mount intercooler, the full induction kit, the actuator, oil cooler, dump valve, and it had a map on it and an exhaust, and it was about 210 brake, and oh my god, this thing used to make me laugh. It was so loud, and it would sound like a little baby rhino running up behind you, you know. It had these standard wheels. I never got around to putting wheels on it. I put some H&R lowering springs on it, so just brought the ride height down a little bit. And to be fair, for a car that I use every single day, it was perfect. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. And it's a bit of a secret, like, I actually really miss it, because for London, it's just the perfect little machine. You don't worry about it too much. Like, I think I picked up the car in the end for, I think it was like £12,000 or something, and you know, it was just amazing value for what I got, because I think it was a 2017 car, and yeah, it had Tarox brakes on it as well. Took it on track. I had a lot of fun with that car. You know, it's whistles, pops, bangs, like stupid noises. Like, we used to do, I think everyone does, if you have a dump valve, if you don't do the noise, like, who even are you? Or is that's a blow off valve? I don't know. Anyway, I can't even remember. I just remember the thing used to whistle. Things were going a little bit better in my career, and I thought now is the time that I could finally trade up and get that car that I'd always wanted, which was the F80. Obviously that arrived on the scene in November 2019. I should actually mention at this point the S15. So the S15 arrived in 2018. That was the car that I did Drift Queen with, and thankfully at the end of the project I was allowed to take the car home with me. Because, you know, we've been on a journey, man, and that is, I think that's another car that's probably just going to stay in the stable for forever. Because an S15 is an amazing chassis anyway. It's like, it was a dream come true when the car came to me after the Drift Queen series. It was just like, I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I was like my very own race car machine. It's awesome. Which leads me to the F80 in 2019. Like, as I said, I've had like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 cars. What have I got? I've got 3 now, S15, F80, and the E21, and then before I had the other. So not even 6. Oh, 6, well, I did have a 2015 Audi A3 for a while, but that was just a diesel, completely standard car that I just needed as a runabout. Doesn't really get onto this list because I never really did anything with it. But yeah, I haven't had that many cars simply because I couldn't afford it, and the thing that I always wanted to do was just keep developing and evolving the car that I had, because, you know, you can sort of freshen it up. Like, once you've made the initial investment, it's just tweaks here and there which can make a car seem brand new to you all over again, and it's fun. Like, I'm still a modifying girl at heart. Like, I will always be messing around with cars that I have. I will never be able to leave them standard. So we're at the F80 now. You guys obviously saw last week we put the wheels on it. We've got some suspension coming for it. We put the beautiful e-Venturi air intake on it. And it's got that wonderful CSF charge cooler as well in there, because what the next plan for that was going to be was to take it and be mapped, put the downpipes on it and take it up to a stage 2. But as I said, because we have the coronavirus stuff going on, that wasn't able to happen just yet. But you know what, there's plenty of time. I have no plans to get rid of that car before 2020. But yeah, as I said, I love kind of doing this type of video because it lets you guys know me a little bit more and sort of my car history. I'm not a YouTuber that just came along and was like, oh, cars, let's do something in cars. Like, I've been around the modifying scene since I was, 17. Even before that, like, I was going along before I could even drive, and just love every bit of it. I'm still very much a girl going down to the Top Styles car park meet on a Wednesday night. Like, that is still me. I'm nearly 28. And I still love that sort of stuff because that's where I grew up. That's where I learned everything that I learned. And, you know, like, there's so many stories, isn't there? You talk to a person who's been into their cars. Completely impractical, but that's the whole point, modifying your car. That's just the way you got to do it, really, isn't it? You've got to make it highly impractical, but as long as you look sick, who cares? I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love talking about this with you because I'm still very proud about my cars and the things that we did with them. And yeah, get in the comments and tell me about your previous cars and any modifying disasters that you had. I want to hear them. But for me today, that's it. Make sure you guys stay safe out there and keep up the good work. So I think we're so nearly about to be out of the lockdown. Not saying that I'm going to be back to the UK anytime soon, but I will be here every Thursday at 6 PM for you guys as normal. But other than that, I'll see you later. Bye!